but she was for the beheadings. Media outlets have simultaneously painted a sympathetic picture of these terrorist brides, now yearning for their homelands. So do they honestly want us to feel bad for these women? And one of the women you just heard from, Alabama native Hoda Muthana, called for the, quote, spilling of American blood. And it's not just happening here. The UK is struggling with the same problem. Joining me now is Piers Morgan, editor-at-large for thedailymail.com, co-host of Good Morning Britain. Piers, now, you said of one of these brides looking to come back to the UK that she should rot in hell. So tell us how you really feel. I see her glib, response to the question about beheadings, and I can't even believe we're having to have this conversation.
It's extraordinary, isn't it, that we're even debating this? I mean, this is a woman who goes over there, marries an ISIS terrorist, supports an ISIS terrorist, breeds with an ISIS terrorist, and is, for all intents and purposes, herself an ISIS terrorist, isn't she? I mean, she's supporting the ISIS movement, the caliphate, the desire to take over the world with their barbarism, and she witnesses beheadings and appears to think that's a good time. Well, I tell you what, I don't agree that that's a good time. Beheadings are despicable, medieval, barbaric, and everyone involved in that kind of behaviour has to be made accountable. And as we've just discovered in Britain, thank God, tonight, the British Home Secretary, the equivalent of Homeland Security chief in Britain, has revoked her citizenship in the case of the ISIS wife who came from Britain. She won't be allowed back in the country without a massive legal fight. And I hope America takes exactly the same view of the American ISIS wife, who, by the way, didn't marry one ISIS terrorist. She married 3 of them. 3 ISIS terrorists. So I'm sorry, Laura, but to me, this is completely and utterly nuts that there is anyone in America or Britain who thinks they should come back.
Yeah, we come back and we spend all this money litigating their case, so some court-appointed attorney who the taxpayers have to pay for argues some cockamamie idea about how she was like Patty Hearst syndrome or something over there, because you know that's what they would argue. But U.S. should revoke their citizenship as well. They shouldn't be able to come back here. You want to be taken care of by the Kurds or situation over in the Middle East where you're probably not going to get, the ACLU representing you, then that was your decision. Piers, I want to play another little snippet from that Alabama ISIS bride, and you will, you won't believe it. Let's watch.
Maybe therapy lessons, maybe a process that will ensure us that we'll never do this again.
So, Piers, she's saying she perhaps could reform herself through therapy lessons. Invariably, the American taxpayers will have to pay for that, too.
Well, let's be very clear. This is the same woman who, on social media 3 or 4 years ago, beseeched every Muslim in America to rise up and spill American blood. And she particularly wanted them to do it using trucks to spill American blood. And in fact, 2 years later, that's exactly what somebody did in New York. A radicalized Islamist in New York got in a truck and mowed down and killed a number of innocent people. So she was crying out for this to happen. That blood was spilled. Now she wants to think, hey, I'm sorry. I know that the ISIS dream in Syria is over. I know that my ISIS terrorist husbands have now been killed, and I want to come home because I'm now a reformed character. I'm not buying any of it. She was very severely radicalized, which is why she was out there, why she stayed out there, why she had these 3 ISIS terrorist husbands. And I think she remains a very clear and present danger to Americans and to American lives.
No, and kids. They all have kids. They want the kids to come back here, go to American schools, et cetera, et cetera. Piers, I have to ask you, you're out in L.A., about the Jussie Smollett hoax. You already get the sense that the entertainment set has gone kind of quiet for the most part. So why are all these Hollywood activists who rushed in to condemn this attack, where are they? Like, where's Ellen Page, who blamed Vice President Pence? Where's she?
Yeah, let's be clear, Laura. They rushed in because, for one reason, this looked like the absolutely perfect storm anti-Trump story, didn't it? It was a couple of guys, couple of white guys wearing Making America Great caps, who had launched a deliberate and savage attack on a gay black actor and had done so because they were pro-Trump. And that was the whole narrative which Jussie Smollett had told everybody. He's been on national television to reinforce this. He's given us a very clear account of this appalling racist, homophobic attack. The only problem is it looks like, and I hesitate to jump in with complete certainty here because it's been a crazy story changing almost by the hour. But I think most rational people looking at this story now have come to the conclusion it's a load of old hogwash.
Yeah.
And that this guy has probably invented the story. So if that is true, it is hard to imagine
a more
Hollywood
sickening
types? And despicable. Well, where are they? I'll tell you where they are.
Yeah, hiding.
They just want this. They want this to disappear. They want this to have never happened because the moment it looked like it was what Justice Smollett told us, out they came going, oh, no, this is the worst thing ever. Now it never happened. Move on.
That's how it always works when the facts become inconvenient. Piers, thanks so much. Have fun out there on the left coast.